Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome again. The creative economy is one of the fastest growing sectors globally, aiding in job creation and generating income for millions of people across the globe. Despite the growing global appetite and appreciation for creative talent, products, goods and services from the continent, the ability to access new markets, seek out new opportunities and create industry-driven networks for the African or Caribbean creative remains a challenge. Digitalization presents a unique opportunity for creatives to play a significant role in the global creative economy. In this session, ladies and gentlemen, the panel of experts will unpack the significance of digitalization for the CCIS, highlight its role in transforming global Africa's creative economy and outline key opportunities and strategies for leveraging digital tools to unleash the creative and economic potential of Africa's CCIS. We come back after the video. Thank you so much.
The power of technology to amplify voices and improve the quality of life for millions of people is undisputed. And while there is no shortage of African innovators, to reach a critical mass of technological development across the continent, a concrete digitization plan for Africa's creative sectors is required. Afrexim Bank has engaged with some of the leaders in the sector to look at viable solutions that will enable African creatives to reach audiences on the continent and beyond, with African-based and African-owned solutions, ensuring that the benefits of the African technology revolution stay within Africa. This session will provide an understanding of the significance of leveraging digitalization, as well as explore the way in which cultural products and services are distributed and consumed in the fourth industrial revolution.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome His Excellency Professor Mohammed Belhussein, African Union Commissioner for Education, Science, Technology and Innovation, to give the session keynote. Good evening, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I think people are napping. Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished panelists, creatives and innovators, good afternoon once again. It is my honor to stand before you in my home country and talk about Africa's future. Today, we embark on a discussion that resonates deeply with the future of our continent. I mean, digitalizing Africa's creative economy. This is not merely a conversation about technology or creative arts and economic growth in isolation. It is about the profound intersection between culture, creativity, and digital innovation. An intersection that holds the potential to shape Africa's trajectory on the global stage through its amazing cultural heritage, plural identities, creative and dynamic young potential, and let's say it, Africa's genius. The creative economy has always been a pillar of Africa's identity. From the rhythmic sounds of Afrobeat, of which we had a nice sample just before we start this session, to the vibrant colors of our fashion, films, art, and storytelling traditions, our continent is rich with narratives that the world craves. But what makes this moment unique is the way digital platforms are now reshaping how those narratives are created, distributed, and monetized. If smartly harnessed, technology becomes the ultimate enabler. It breaks down barriers, opens up new markets, and empowers individuals with the tools they need to share their art with the world. CANEX and the larger movement around digitalizing Africa's creative economy recognizes that Africa stands on the brink of a creative revolution. At the heart of this revolution is not only the raw talent and cultural heritage that we possess, but also the technology that amplifies and scales that talent globally. Whether it's Nollywood, Afrobeats, contemporary African fashion, we have some samples here, or digital art, the fusion of creativity with technology can exponentially grow Africa's influence, create jobs, and generate wealth for millions. Yet, as we champion this movement toward digitalization, we must also address the systemic challenges. Here are some key aspects and potential pathways to enhance creative economy through digital technologies. First, we need access to technology. Expanding access to affordable internet and digital devices is crucial. This includes developing infrastructure in rural and underserved areas to ensure everyone can participate in the digital economy. I must say that we need, before and in parallel, to ensure more access to energy to amplify the impact and ensure no one is left behind. So we have a long way to go when we know that 60% of our households in sub-Saharan Africa do not have regular access to energy, if not at all. Second, education and training. I'm the Commissioner for Education, so I have to sell my business. Providing educational resources and training in both creative skills and digital literacy can equip individuals to thrive in a digital creative economy. This may include workshops, online courses, and mentorship programs. In this regard, African Union Commission has taken 3 major steps. First, we have adopted the Digital Education Strategy for Africa. Second, the Pan-African Virtual University is under construction, and it will offer a platform for training people in digital skills, particularly the education fraternity. And finally, recently, the African Union Commission has adopted the Continental Artificial Intelligence Strategy. Third point, we need to invest in startups. Encouraging investment in tech startups focused on creative economy can lead to the development of new solutions that cater for local needs while fostering innovation. In this matter, the African Union Executive Council has adopted 2 years ago Decision 1205 proposed by Algeria to foster startups development in the continent. And finally, access to reliable funding mechanisms and the protection of intellectual property remain significant hurdles. We must ensure that no one is left behind, particularly in rural and underserved areas where so much creative potential still lies untapped. Moreover, we must ask ourselves critical questions as we proceed. How do we ensure that Africa's creative economy grows sustainably? How do we leverage partnerships, both local and international, to ensure that the benefits of digitalization are widespread? And importantly, how do we harness our collective creative power to tell authentic African stories that reflect our diversity, yet unify us on a global platform. As digital platforms become more accessible, we have a golden opportunity to rewrite the global narrative about Africa. Instead of being consumers, we become creators, exporters, and trendsetters. And what excites me most is that Africa's youthful population, one of our most powerful assets, if not the most powerful asset, is at the forefront of this digital revolution. It is the youth who are mastering these tools, disrupting traditional industries, and showcasing Africa's creativity in innovative ways. Our discussion today is part of this wider movement. The digital economy is not just a wave that is coming, it is already here and it is going to last for a long while, if not forever. I'm confident that our esteemed panel today, comprising of thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and visionaries, will offer invaluable insights into how we can build this digitalized future. We will explore practical strategies, examine success stories, and, importantly, look at the steps required to foster an inclusive and, to the extent possible, integrated digital ecosystem. Let us remember that when we speak of Africa's creative economy, we are not just talking about an industry. We are speaking about identity. We are speaking about empowerment. We are speaking about legacy. By embracing digitalization, we are not only creating economic opportunities, but also shaping how Africa is perceived in the world, and most importantly, by ourselves. In closing, I invite us all to engage actively in today's discussion, bring forth bold ideas, and leave here with actionable solutions. Together, we can not only digitalize Africa's creative economy, but also inspire a new generation of African creators to dream bigger, reach further, and redefine the future of African innovation. Let's build the future of Africa's creative economy digitally, inclusively, and proudly. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Commissioner. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm round of applause to the moderator of the session, Biram Sok, founder and Chief Executive Officer of Kwele Inc.
I'm trying. Hello, everyone. Really excited to be here and to have this opportunity to moderate our panel, which I would like to call more of a discussion, a conversation. The title for our conversation today is really Digitalizing Africa's Creative Economy. And I think it's a title for me that just really reflects, first, me as an African woman who programmed for quite a while in my career and then turned entrepreneur. And that basically is a reflection, while also really loving, I would say, the creative industry. And that's been a reflection of my personal life. So really excited to have this opportunity to have this conversation on how technology, the digitalization of our creative economy can help boost Africa, boost and really inspire our young population in Africa, which everybody says is the future. Now, if Africa is the future, what is it that we can do today to help reach all our goals? And how can we really use technology? How can we use the digitalization of all our creative industries to be able to move faster. Because if I have to look at one thing, is I've always said technology is what allows us to go faster. It's a tool. It is not an industry of its own. It is one that we embed into all various industries, sectors, and find ways to have it speak our language. And that language today is the African language. And so a lot of our conversation is going to focus on that. I'm really excited to be able to introduce basically our experts that are from various regions of Africa, but also from various backgrounds and professional backgrounds. So they will come with very different opinions and hoping to be able to really have that debate sometimes and be very honest about what is it that we really need to do, and do we even really need to do it in the way that we are thinking the world operates today. So with that, I am first going to call Madame Nawel Youmsi Damani, who's the Director of Prospective Studies of Documentation and IT at the Ministry of Culture in Algeria. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Bienvenue. And next we have Ms. Adora Orama, founder and CEO of Amaka Studio from Nigeria. Welcome. Next we have Mr. Mehdi Ajroudi, founder of Mediwood Studios in Tunisia. Welcome. And last but not least, we have Ms. Emeka Onia, Innovation and Product Development at Afrexim Bank. Welcome, welcome. Really excited also to see that we have gender equality on this stage, and so looking forward to having a great, great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you guys.
For having us.
Very happy to be
So
here.
anyone that knows me knows that I like to ask a lot of questions. So I did try to prepare myself, but one of the other things is liking to ask the tough questions. I've learned something from a great friend of mine who does a lot of motivational speaking and who comes from the entrepreneurial world, especially on the technology side. And one of his favorite, basically, sayings is, discomfort is where innovation happens. You have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone, face uncertainty, and push through challenges to unlock new possibilities. Basically, discomfort is the only way to get to innovation. And so I think this is our opportunity to put ourselves in a place where we have these conversations and can be fully honest with the things we do well and the things that we still need to work on. So hoping that we can do that today. So I'm going to start with one question, which is going to allow us all to be able to learn a little bit about each other, which is basically, I'm going to ask each of you to maybe introduce yourself as to what you do very quickly, so we have time for the discussion, but to also let me know, what is your favorite piece of technology today? And so I will start with you. C'est juste pour vous demander quelle est la technologie que vous préférez le plus au monde aujourd'hui.
Bonsoir tout le monde et merci encore au CANEX et à l'Union africaine pour cette invitation et pour l'organisation de ce panel. En fait, c'est très compliqué comme question, c'est pas évident, mais je crois qu'il y en a peut-être deux. C'est le métaverse, c'est une technologie aussi qui me semble très intéressante dans ses usages notamment, et aussi l'intelligence artificielle, pour qu'on puisse bien sûr respecter les droits, bien sûr, les droits d'auteur et la propriété intellectuelle. Voilà, merci.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Adora.
Hi everyone, my name is Adora. I'm the founder and CEO of Amaka. We're a platform that is a social platform for creators, African creators, to create, share, and monetize their stories through subscriptions and through brand partnerships. And I would say one piece of technology has been influential has been ChatGPT for us, I would say, and, in terms of productivity and really kind of accelerating a lot of what we do, but also just a shameless plug as well with Amaka as well in terms of content creation and really connecting with different brands and institutions from a tech perspective as well. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Mehdi Ajroudi. I'm a director and also the CEO of Mediwood Studio. It's a facility that allows you to produce and make all kinds of films in North Africa. And the favorite piece of technology I would say is the phone. Phone for me is the one thing that I have on me absolutely all the time that allows me to connect with everybody, but also to show the project that we do at our studios.
Okay, very great, thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you. It's great to be here. So my name is Emeka Onya. I lead innovation at Afreximbank. My role really is to look at how to leverage technology to solve some of the more pressing challenges that affect intra-African trade on the continent. And I would say my favorite piece of technology will probably be the cloud infrastructure, just because it's made it a lot easier and cheaper for our creatives and for just SMEs and everyone else who wants to run a business to get on the internet just like that, right? Previously, you have to buy servers and spend a lot of money to do that, but now it's just a button press and you're online. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing that. Very interesting perspectives on your favorite piece of technology. One of the things I'm thinking about is actually the database, because I actually feel like there's no technology without any data.
Yeah.
And that data is really what we consume. And technology is seen as the tool that allows us to consume that data in so many different ways, so many different formats. As we speak about the creative economy, we talk about a lot of creative data. And from there, the question that we ask ourselves is, we see everything happening around the world with technology and it being embraced all around, but there's still certain stereotypes that are attached to Africa and the creative, especially within the creative sector. And so these first set of questions are really going to be focused on that, the stereotype around African data and the way we present it within the digital economy. And so maybe I will start with Madame Nawel. Je vais essayer de poser la question en français, mais je vais traduire un peu de l'anglais, donc excusez-moi. Mais la première question en fait que je voulais poser, c'était de savoir si en fait, quand on regarde la culture africaine, on parle souvent de tradition. Et donc la grande question est, on se pose parfois la question de savoir si la technologie n'est pas une manière d'effacer. C'est un mythe en fait, que la technologie est une manière d'effacer la tradition et nos histoires anciennes. Ouais. Et donc j'aimerais juste savoir par rapport à votre expérience, à votre position aujourd'hui au niveau du ministère, qu'est-ce que vous pensez en fait représente la technologie quand il s'agit de parler de l'histoire africaine et de garder en fait l'authenticité de nos datas?
Oui, effectivement. Enfin, la tradition, les savoir-faire traditionnels, il est vrai qu'ils sont bien ancrés en Afrique. Nous sommes détenteurs d'un très riche patrimoine, qu'il soit immatériel ou matériel. Mais je pense que la technologie, on devrait aussi, la technologie devrait aussi servir à la faire connaître, la documenter, comme vous le disiez tout à l'heure. La documenter, la faire connaître, c'est une forme aussi de préservation. La technologie, c'est une forme de préservation aussi. Ce qui fait l'authenticité des œuvres, c'est vrai qu'elle pose problème sur un environnement numérique, mais ça sert aussi, ça peut servir aussi les communautés à la préserver. Alors si aussi ceci engendre des économies en faisant connaître un patrimoine, ça peut enclencher une dynamique locale qui peut apporter, ce qui peut aussi servir l'authenticité et ces savoir-faire-là. Et effectivement, je préfère penser que la technologie peut servir que de perdre l'authenticité, sachant qu'il y a d'autres mécanismes au niveau international qui protègent les savoir-faire traditionnels. L'UNESCO aussi travaille sur ces questions-là, en fait aussi sur l'éthique numérique. Il y a tellement maintenant de conventions qui agissent dans ce sens-là, mais je pense que nous avons besoin, en tant qu'Africains, actuellement à ces technologies. Nous avons besoin de montrer au monde notre savoir-faire, de faire connaître notre patrimoine, parce que c'est aussi une forme de protection. Faire montrer ce qu'on a, c'est aussi protéger. Protéger contre l'appropriation illégale des biens, l'appropriation des musiques, l'appropriation des tissus, l'appropriation des connaissances. Et faire montrer ça, c'est aussi le préserver. En fait, voilà, à mon humble avis, ce que je pense de cette question-là.
Merci beaucoup pour cette réponse. I will maybe go next to Adora, and then we'll switch it up around. And I'll go to you just because you did mention ChatGPT as being one of your favorite pieces of technology now. I say today just because technology moves so fast, so you might have a different answer next week. And I've always asked my question, does ChatGPT speak Africa? And what is it that we can do within Africa, within the creative industry, to make sure that we can actually take advantage of those tools, such as ChatGPT, and make sure that it is breaking some of those stereotypes that exist within the data that has come through ChatGPT in the way it was built from the start?
Yes, absolutely. I would definitely say when you're building these tools and technologies, it's obviously working with, specifically if you're working with creators, but African creators or diverse creators, especially when it comes to this dissemination of the information and the content. We see a lot of these platforms that are not really inclusive of their various different experiences. Specific engineers or may not be representative of the communities that they're maybe trying to reach from a global perspective. So for example, for us at Amaka, we always look at building our tech with the community as well, and we integrate generative AI to be able to share some suggested creators for brands and for work, but we always do that hand in hand with our community. We have over 70,000 creators on the platform, so we obviously understand a lot of the challenges and issues that they face, and making sure that it's authentically integrated within the technology, within the data that's highlighted there, and as well as the output. So definitely say making sure that you're leveraging the different plurality of thought of different experiences when it comes to building that technology that represents us. I would definitely say, we've seen a lot of controversies around, for example, imagery that use AI that either doesn't credit people or sometimes leverages our data without our consent, or sometimes even just produces really offensive content. It's obviously evolving, but I think these are really key issues when you're not really integrating with specific decision makers or African creators in this respect to be able to develop the technology. So I'll definitely say it's working hand in hand with the community to be able to develop more impactful technology. Sure.
Thank you. Mehdi.
Yes.
So Tunisia and the broader North African region are often perceived as more aligned with Europe or the Middle East in general. But as we look at content, especially as we look at Africa and the creative industry, we tend to say each of these, we tend to separate even Africa into these different regions as if they're siloed. We have the West Africa, the East Africa, the South Africa, then we have Northern Africa. What do you think technology can do to help us bridge these gaps and break a little bit of these barriers that have been set just based on the nature of how we got here?
First of all, I don't like the idea of separating Africa. For us, we're a whole continent, and I see myself as African, more as a whole subject. North Africa, East Africa, South Africa, is just to understand the region because most of the people I talk to don't even know where we're on the map. So that's a big problem. And they've tried to divide us at all time, whether it's through frontier but digitally as well. Connecting ourselves through digitalization is freedom, is the way to communicate, whether it's just through a plane or through a phone. It's hard for us to even call somebody in another place of Africa. The day that we'll be able to do it freely, just like we're doing right now with WhatsApp, and control our own data, is the day that we'll be more free and connected with each other. Instead of looking out, we need to look in. We have everything. Even if you look at material, everything comes from China or anywhere else, but the raw material is from us. So when it comes from just raw material, but also data, we need to do the same and look within. So for me, I bring everything back to movie making because that's what I do. And every of those places in Africa have a message to their own. Most of the films that we make don't expose themselves because if you don't know the cultural base or even the political situation of that place, you won't understand the message, what they're trying to do. But if we unite each other and we're trying to cross bridge and make movies where we cross cultures and speak with a point of view that the viewer don't know exactly where we are even on the map, then we can explain to the world what's our story and not let them tell our story, which has been what's going on. So for me, digitally, it's so important that we create our data, but not only create it, but control it. That's the key. Like you said, data, data, data. That's what we need, but we need to be the one that controls that data, not let the Western world have their hand on it and kind of control us like it's always been in every different aspect. So talking about that subject, I don't see north, south, east. I see as an African project of digitally connecting each other. Look, I have part of Africa, they don't have electricity right now. Or there's parts that not everybody's using the debit card. If we're starting to connect each other and be able to flow and be able to communicate or do transaction faster, things move faster. Time is key here. When you reduce time, it's more time for you to do what you have to do, whether it's through transportation or even digitally. So for me, it's very important to think as a whole and to look within, not outside. So that's what I would have to say.
Thank you, Mehdi. Really appreciate those words. So, Emeka, I think I'd like you to just be able to piggyback on what Mehdi just said, especially from the point of view of Afrexim Bank. Just because I look at where we are here today with CANEX 2024, here in Algeria, that seems to be the vision, right? To create that one Africa, and for us to all be able to speak that same one language, especially within the creative industry. And so we also sometimes talk about financing as being the block, but we also understand that there's infrastructure. So just wanted you to expand a little bit on that and say what is Afrexim Bank thinking about as a way to be able to really bridge those gaps and allow Africa to stand on its own?
Oh, thank you. That's a huge question. So let me break it down. So, when you travel out of Africa and you go to Europe, or you go to the States, it doesn't matter where you're from, they call you African, right? And to the point, that's actually what we are. We're one continent. But when you come back home to Africa, then what divides us is more apparent, right? So, for example, coming over to Algeria, so I live in Cairo, Egypt. I'm Nigerian, so intra-Africa, so I travel a lot. So I come to Algeria. Now, my Nigerian naira doesn't work. I can't change it here. My Egyptian pounds doesn't work. I can't change it here. So I've got to find a third currency. I've got to find US dollars, right, to be able to convert to the dinner. So already there's really infrastructural. So that issue of trust exists across borders, right? And we have our master platform, which is really the primary source of data to conduct KYC in African entities. So we're trying to make sure that we can create a trusted ecosystem, provide you payments infrastructure and information for trade, right? And then for the creatives that are here today, we are going to be launching soon support that. And that's really what we're about.
Thank you. Sounds very interesting. And I think, it's what's going to be interesting as well as we think about a lot of these tools and platforms that are coming about is how do we make sure people know about them and use them fully? This is just a question that's coming up to my mind because one of the things that we've talked a lot about in just various discussions with people is sometimes we say, you know what, we're not so good at marketing ourselves, right? And what have we missed that makes it that we are not telling our stories, making people be able to use our platforms, to listen to our music, even within Africa? And so maybe one of those questions would be, what is it that the public sector, what is the public sector's role in helping the message be able to go out in terms of the creative industry?
Alors, on ne peut pas parler des industries créatives en dehors de tout l'écosystème numérique. Les industries créatives dans le numérique, elles sont partie prenante de tout cet écosystème. Je voudrais juste souligner et citer l'exemple de l'Algérie, en fait, de ce qui a été fait en Algérie. Je pense qu'en premier lieu, il faut vraiment une décision forte, une décision politique forte, pour dire que l'État en question met le numérique comme question et l'économie numérique comme question stratégique. En Algérie, depuis 2020, nous avons un ministère qui s'occupe de ces questions-là, ministère des startups et de l'économie de la connaissance, et un ministère du numérique qui s'occupe notamment de tout ce qui est stratégie numérique et de l'infrastructure, parce qu'il est clair que c'est le public, c'est l'État, et c'est le public qui peut prendre en charge. Si on parle de bande passante, si on parle de data center, si on parle d'infrastructures lourdes, il n'y a que l'État qui peut prendre ça à sa charge. Ça, on le sait, et surtout chez nous en Afrique, pour l'heure, malheureusement, nous n'avons pas encore d'entreprise privée forte qui puisse aussi mettre ça en place, et ce n'est que le secteur public qui peut le prendre en charge. Alors, je voudrais revenir au ministère des startups qui a pris naissance seulement en 2020, mais depuis, il y a plein de verrous qui ont été, en fait, plein de problèmes qui ont été déverrouillés et qui ont permis à une croissance et à la naissance de plusieurs startups. Alors il y a eu des réformes, énormément de réformes qui portent sur déjà l'identification de ce qu'est une start-up, une entreprise innovante, une entreprise créative. J'en parle parce que je trouve que l'économie numérique dans les industries créatives est partie intégrante. Voilà. Alors après ce texte de loi, il y a eu la mise en place de fonds. Nous savons tous que pour démarrer, il faut de l'argent, il faut le fonds de risque, il faut accompagner. Alors nous avons un fonds qui a été créé, nous avons ce qu'on a appelé on a labellisé aussi des startups pour pouvoir aussi accéder à ce fonds-là. C'est un fonds de garantie, d'accompagnement. Il y a aussi dernièrement, et aussi, excusez-moi, quelque chose de très important aussi, c'est les mesures fiscales. Il y a beaucoup de mesures fiscales incitatives auprès des banques. Et dernièrement aussi, je voudrais vous dire que l'Algérie a promulgué dernièrement une loi sur l'auto-entrepreneur, alors qui encourage aussi les jeunes pour les services culturels et d'autres types de services et d'expertise à créer leur entreprise sur une plateforme en même pas une semaine. Ça a donné une explosion de création d'entreprises et ça permet même à des fonctionnaires de s'arrêter, d'aller créer leur service pendant 6 mois et revenir. En fait, voilà, ça c'est d'énormes, en fait, mais ce que je veux dire, c'est qu'il y a une volonté politique derrière. Ça, il le faut. Ça, c'est en premier lieu. Aussi, je voudrais juste, je ne sais pas, pour la salle et pour tous nos amis qui viennent de tout notre continent, dire aussi qu'il y a une feuille de route qui a été tracée, qui a été adoptée aussi par l'Union africaine en mars 2023. Il y a une feuille de route, il y a des points focaux au niveau de tous les pays africains pour la mise en place de cette feuille de route et pour l'amélioration de l'écosystème numérique. Ça, je tiens à le dire, c'est-à-dire que chacun, quand il rentrera chez lui, il doit chercher ce point focal et citer ces problèmes-là. Et c'est en interagissant avec ces points focaux qu'on va détecter où se pose le
donc to
problème est
detect
qu'on puisse
where is the
déverrouiller
issue
ces
so that we
petits
can
soucis.
unlock
Voilà.
these little
Merci
concerns.
beaucoup.
Thank you so much.
Merci. Merci pour cette réponse. Et je pense que
Thank you.
vous avez raison, quand on regarde
You are totally right.
aujourd'hui
When you look today,
en Afrique, on se rend compte qu'il y a
at
de
least
plus en
aspects in
plus de
Africa, we
gouvernements
realize that
qui
more
mettent en
and more
place
governments are
un
setting up
ministère ou une
a
agence qui
ministry
se concentre
or
sur
an agency
la
that is
digitalisation.
focusing on the
Mais on se pose aussi la question de
digitalization, and
savoir
there is also
combien d'entre eux
the
commencent à
question
digitaliser
on
eux-mêmes.
how many enterprises
Mais c'est
are
un débat
starting
pour un autre jour.
digitalizing
Oui, oui.
themselves. But this is
Non,
not
en
a
fait,
debate,
ça doit aller en
today.
parallèle.
These
Et tout à
go-
l'heure, vous avez
these go
cité
in
le
parallel.
gros
Earlier, you
problème de
mentioned that the
database.
major
Les bases de données,
few
elles
of the
sont à la base
database
de
to
toutes les
database
stratégies.
are a
Et
database
je
of
pense
all
que l'État
strategies,
déjà
in fact, to name.
doit commencer à
And the
le faire,
states
à
should
commencer
start,
par le faire. C'est aux
doing
États,
it.
enfin,
It
aux
is up to the
politiques de
states,
commencer, d'entamer ce travail-là.
the policymakers to
En
start,
Algérie, on
this
commence,
job.
on a
In
commencé.
Algeria, we have
Il y a
already
énormément de
initiated this
projets qui
work.
se
There
font
are
en
so many
parallèle dans
projects
plusieurs
that are being
secteurs.
done in parallel in several
Et je pense que
sectors.
c'est quelque chose d'important
This
aussi
is
pour
something
justement mettre en place
significant indeed,
ces
to
programmes et ces
set
plans
up,
stratégiques.
these programs and these
Merci
strategies.
beaucoup.
Thank you.
The next
Thank you so
question, I'll
much.
probably come back to you, Midi. As we look at streaming platforms, just basically taking over, we no longer even need a TV per se in our homes to get information, to get music, to get movies. We're all now becoming quite dependent on these streaming platforms. And when we think about digital content production as well, it's expanding very, very quickly. Now, the private sector really has this unique opportunity to be able to amplify African voices as we talk about it, right? And be able to really make sure that our local populations are also involved in this expansion. So my question to you, it's really, when I think about it and we look at a lot of the platforms that have come about within Africa, because when we talk about streaming, right away our first mind goes to what? It goes to Netflix, it goes to YouTube. We don't necessarily go and think about our African streaming platforms. We do know that there are many startups out there that have been focused on that. What do you think we need to do as a private sector to be able to make sure that we can have streaming platforms that are adopted across Africa and that are seen as being the top?
Yeah, that's a big question, because right now, if we wouldn't want to have a streaming platform, we would need so much content to come right away. Because why would you sign up for something that doesn't have content already? So it's more about maybe expanding some of the platforms that already exist and giving them the African market. You know, I've talked with people on Netflix, and I told them that right now they're splitting the cakes amongst the same people, you know, so you have Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and they're going the same place, you know, America, Europe, you know, but within Africa, they're not creating content for us.
Yes.
Why? Is because they don't know how to bring the money back up, you know, like not all the people have the debit card to pay the subscription, or they don't have project for us. So the goal is to say that the first platform that will start making content for us will get that huge piece of cake that's representing almost 2 billion people. You know, it's a huge platform to have. So if we start to create content, the goal is to express ourselves to the world and showcase what we have, they will start to stream it. So the more we digitalize our country, the more they'll be able to create revenue, the more they'll be looking at creating content for us, or giving us the opportunity to get the money from the platform to create more content that showcase our country. Mm-hmm. So through digitalization, we then become a target for them, because we're connected to the world. So the more connected we are, the more the world will see what we can get. So for me, I would say having a platform, it's per se for Africa, is the ultimate desire. But for a short-term solution would be to bring in one of the most powerful one, whether it's Netflix or Apple or anything, and open Netflix Africa and start creating content that can export itself. So taking big subject matter, whether it's Mansa Musa or the Punic Wars, and making those production on an international level, using African, whether it's crews and actors, and showcasing them in those big platforms. Because the bigger the name, and then the bigger value they have, That's the thing, Netflix kind of own you at the beginning. They give you not, they give you the viewship, but they don't give you the money that you should get for a project that's been on Netflix. So the goal is to be known. So for us, as long as we don't have a platform in Africa, you're going to be known regionally, but not internationally. The goal is to be known internationally, so then we can create content for the whole world.
I'm with you on that dream. Let's get there.
Yeah.
Dora, maybe I'll come back to you again. You are at the heart of figuring out how to digitize the creative economy, especially within Nigeria. If we think about, today when we think about Afrobeat and we think about Amapiano, from South Africa, we realize that there is a path forward. But when we think about it, did it happen by mistake? Or is there something that we did? Did technology have a say into it? Because when we think about African music in general, or even African movies and others, we tend to really focus on our local instruments, right? And when we think about music, when we think about movies, it's the locations that we have here. How can you, what do you think we need to do to be able to push forward the rest of the creative economy using technology?
Yes. So I think there's multiple kind of questions.
I'm cheating here. I'm trying to ask 5 questions at a time to each of you.
No, but I think in terms of the way we've exported our music, I think we've leveraged platforms. Like, for example, over the years, Afrobeats has amassed about 16 billion streams and listens on Spotify, about 1.6 billion on TikTok. That was as of 2021, so of course it's just been booming and growing. So obviously I think there's been a huge importance of leveraging like tech platforms, like the creator platforms, I would say, to be able to expand and to disseminate a lot of that messaging. But I'd also say the ways that the TikTok platforms and the creator platforms have been working is how how they've been popularized by, again, creators, I would say. I would say everyone that has a phone, everyone essentially is a creator. And I think the way that we have been able to showcase our experiences, the way technology has been able to democratize access as well, because before you couldn't, sometimes there were so many barriers to get on the radio and so many barriers to get, record label, for example. A lot of these creators have been able to use, free platforms to be able to showcase their work, and it's also been popularized by a lot of their community. So I think that's been one of the major ways that we've been able to just kind of have a strong focus in view. But then it comes to the point around ownership. A lot of these platforms we don't own. We talk about viewership, but what about the monetization part, which Spotify, there's been a lot of contentious relationships around monetization as well. The ways that we can have longevity in this industry is not only just about reach and views, but about monetization as well. How do we have access to those databases? How do we get the recurring revenue as well? And also just making sure that we have a sense of agency and autonomy over those infrastructure of the technology world. So I think there's a lot of questions. It's something that we are figuring out as well when it comes to ownership. And just the last point as well around monetization, there are certain platforms like TikTok, Substack, where you have a lot of creators and who are in the music industry. For example, typically you need to have a USD bank account to be able to even earn money. Sometimes if you're based in a specific country, you can't even access some of the funding opportunities that come with that. So we need to be able to have our own platforms, leverage those kind of partnerships with creators as well, to be able to have ownership across the value chain of the tech ecosystem, from production, content dissemination, distribution, and the monetization as well. So I think it's like a larger piece of the pie, and why I think it was maybe not an accident, but I think it was strategic, but at the same time, the monetization part, we still haven't figured that out yet for us as a whole. So I think there's a lot of questions around that.
Thank you. No, that makes a lot of sense, and that will bring me to Emeka. I know we're running a little bit out of time, but we'll take this question. For me, there's this one saying that we all agree on. It takes money to make money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
And where does that money come from? Because when we think about it today, every time I come to a CANEX, this is probably my fourth, I run into a lot of people in the shuttles, having lunch, we're just having a quick conversation, just met, and I feel like everybody's coming to look for money. And hoping that at some point in time, a Frexim Bank will write that check. Because we think about a lot of money that's being invested, but then for the content creator that's there, that's an individual, that's just starting up, that maybe doesn't need that much money, a Frexim Bank may not be the person that's going to write the check under their name right away. And so where do they go, and how can a Frexim Bank help with making sure that that place that they go to is actually going to listen to them and write that check for them?
Well, that's a fantastic question. Let me start by saying that Frexim Bank is obviously supportive of the ecosystem, hence the CANEX, and Mediwood is a testament to our support. But one thing you said that's critical, which is that money is required at different levels, right? And one thing that the bank understands is that, from my position, we may not be able to reach all those levels. But what we can do is create that enabling ecosystem and infrastructure for that financing to flow, right? And as I said earlier, we have our ecosystem, the Africa Trade Gateway, and one thing that we seek to do with that is to connect financiers and investors to opportunities. What does that mean? So just yesterday, I was having a discussion with a few people who were here, and I asked them a question. I said, how do you get your movie financed? They said, well, there's a group of people who come together and they put money together and they finance movies and they return X amount to them, right? So there's financing. It could be at a level that is not maybe commercial and financial institutions, but exists. So what we seek to do through the Trade Gateway is to pull in those financiers that are available on the continent into a singular place. To what Mehdi mentioned about information is they may exist just next door, but if we don't know how to access them, right? So the first thing we're looking for is, can we put together a solution that allows those that need the funds, right, to not only seek Frexim Bank funds, we have an SME financing facility, we have funds for film development, we have music, that's okay. But then can we then seek funds that exist locally and cross-border? And to do that, through our Trade Gateway, we are pulling in those information and those funding financing capabilities, both within the continent and in diaspora that actually invest in the continent, right? So that a creative can then be able to provide opportunities and then hopefully be matched with someone who's willing to participate. I think at that level, foundationally, right, we begin to create opportunities to connect them. And then the issue of trust of what happens, that's why I mentioned the master platform, because then to participate on that ecosystem, you have to be verified and trusted, right? So that protects everyone else and also ensures that we're able to provide more opportunities for everyone. So to answer your question in summary is that obviously we will do our part, but through technology, we will enable other financiers to be found and will enable opportunities to be provided for them to find them, right? And at that point, hopefully that can create that ecosystem that we're looking for.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a few minutes, maybe to get a couple of questions. I do want to keep some time for one last question I'd like to ask the panel to answer very quickly each, but maybe let's first see if we have people that in the audience that have some questions for us. And I can not see too much. So, okay, well, no questions means we've been talking a lot and covering quite a number of topics. I recently found out that this, it's the largest sort of TV show producers in Senegal. And a lot of their shows are very reflective of the local culture, mostly speaking the local language. And they basically have been able to really capture not only the local the local audience as well as the diaspora and a lot of Africa, even though it's that one language and it's usually posted on YouTube and things like that. Now, I found out that they were recently acquired by Netflix. So I'm going to ask each one of you very quickly, a good thing or a bad thing?
More context. I mean, you want to go first, or
Go for it. Go for it.
I think I want to say that it depends on the structure of the ownership, doesn't it? I mean, obviously Netflix has a lot of, capital and cultural capital as well. But I mean, obviously there's an exposure part to it, but then there's also, again, the ownership side of things, and then the monetization side of things as well. Like how much of a return that do they get as the creative studio do they get as a whole? I think if we had a bit more context maybe on the ownership structure, but I think it can go both ways depending on that. So, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing because it just showcased that language is not a barrier anymore. Before it was all like, oh, your movie's not in English, then it can export itself. That just showcased that now good content can travel. That's it. So it needs to be shown to the world, that part of the world, like Senegal and this TV show that's making it, just like the one from South Korea that made it as well. We don't care that if the movie is made in English anymore. Make it good and the world is going to want to see it. That's just what it means. So that means that everybody in their own town can create something that can be seen to the world. And through more digitalization, we'll give more opportunities to people to create content, and that content can be seen to the world if it's good content. Every content is good to some people's eyes, but to the world's eyes, sometimes it needs to be shown. So it doesn't matter if the movie is in English. So anybody that tells you, oh, but your film is not in English, you can't export itself, that's the hard proof that it doesn't matter. If it's good content, it'll travel.
Thank you. Good.
Alors, je suis du même avis que Mehdi, en fait. Il est vrai qu'on regarde sur Netflix aussi des films sous-titrés. Alors, au contraire, ça pourrait servir à promouvoir notre culture, notre patrimoine, notre richesse, nos identités aussi, parce qu'en fait, on est, et comme on disait tout à l'heure, on est soit par région, on est africain, on est tous, une fois ailleurs, on est tous africains. C'est une très bonne chose, mais c'est vrai que ça permettrait de partager, de se faire connaître. Ça, je pense que c'est plus une richesse qu'autre chose, effectivement.
Emeka, any reflections?
All right, I'll answer it quickly in three parts. For company in Senegal, amazing, right? It's great for them. For Netflix, amazing, right? They get expand to Africa, more movies, fantastic. But for the creative economy in Africa as an industry and for the continent, not so much, right? Because we need to be able to find a way to keep our IP and keep that knowledge within a continent. If we're acquiring from a company, if a company in Africa acquires it, all wins, right? So we are losing a lot of our knowledge and IPs outside the continent, and that is increasing at a fast rate. And we need to find a way to keep that within Africa. So I know it's a bit of fence, but that's my response.
We're both on the fence.
I like that answer. You know what it means? That means that they need to finance us a new Netflix.
Yes. Very good point. Thank you. No, it all makes sense, and we're going to leave it at that. Really appreciate it. Just want to, I think we've had a very rich discussion. I hope the questions were not too provoking, but at least they allow us to think through the challenges, but also the opportunities. And I think if we're all here today, it's because we believe in the future. We believe in actually the now, right? Everything that's happening now, the exchanges that we're currently having right here, right now, is what's going to change first the way we look at things, but also allow us to be able to break those stereotypes that go around the world. When I think about Shakira and Waka Waka, and I think about Beyonce and Black is King, and I think about, Stella McCartney, Louis Vuitton, and Marc Jacobs, all of them basically using the African prints, the kente cloth, or the dreadlocks, and things like that. it's always with a yay, but at the same time, like, but they didn't do it the right way,
Yeah.
you know? And we should own this. So
Yes,
I think
yeah.
that's the conversation we're having, and hopefully with digitalization, that means that we're expanding and opening up a bigger market, so we're exposing ourselves. But as long as we do that, as we own it, and I think you're all doing it, really, we're gonna get there. So it's a mix of it all, the data, the technology, the content, but also the people. And thank you to all of you. Thank you to CANEX and to Flexim Bank for giving us this opportunity, and looking forward to us having more of these conversations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are you ready to take the next step in your creative journey? Join CANEX Africa today. Together, we will build the future of Africa's creative industries. One idea, one collaboration, and one success at a time. This is your platform. This is your moment. CANEX Africa.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mrs. Kanayo Awani. Thank you so much, Mr.
The
Emeka
creative and cultural
Onya.
industry can be an enormous economic powerhouse for our people. The creative economy contributes about $3 trillion to the global economy and employs about 30 million people worldwide. Africa's shares of these numbers are pathetic, as we all know. Nonetheless, recent gains have been most phenomenal across Africa, predominantly precipitated by a huge bulge, a rising middle class, and advances in digital technology. Even with little policy and financing support, the African culture and creative industry has become the fastest growing industry worldwide and steadily becoming the largest employer of the continent's vast young talents.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have more exciting announcements before we close today. Join me in welcoming Odi Akanoba, Head of SME Development Unit at Afreximbank, to announce the outcomes of the Script to Screen program and the beneficiaries of the first CANEX Angel Investment Session.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. It is a great pleasure for me to be here this afternoon, spending the next couple of minutes giving you the results and the outcomes of two really exciting competitions that took place during the course of this week, namely Script to Screen and CANEX Presents the Angels. Now, under the Script to Screen program, Afreximbank collaborated with the Africa International Film Festival, AFRIF, to train 30 of Africa's most promising film talent in developing film scripts. And this was done with a view to creating content that we believe can travel the world and give us an opportunity to tell our own stories in our own way. Earlier this week, 6 of those 30 got an opportunity to present their stories, present their scripts to production houses with a view to those production houses taking those films to the next stage of development. I'm glad to announce that of the 6 films that were presented, not 1, not 2, but 3 have actually now been identified by the producers. 3 films have been identified and will now be taken forward for production. I will step aside now and I will let a video by Dr. Busola Tejumola, who is the Executive Head of Content for West Africa Channels at at Showmax, to give us a view on which script that she will be taking forward.
Thank you for the opportunity to be part of the pitching session. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to all the stories from the different regions. And the story we will be going with at Showmax is Funeral Heist. We look forward to reaching out to the producer in the coming weeks and just fully developing the story together, developing the story together and producing. So hopefully by the next CANEX, we're hoping that this will be a Showmax original. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Unfortunately, the sound quality wasn't very good, but essentially what she has said is that Miss Esther Sami from Uganda, please stand up for recognition, who developed the script for Funeral Heist, will be taken forward by Showmax. So congratulations to Esther Sami. In the same vein, to learn about the other 2 films that are going to be taken forward, I will step aside so that we can hear from Kene Okosa, who is Group Chief Executive Officer of the Film House Group.
Thank you and welcome back to CANEX. My name is Kene Okosa, CEO of Film House Group, Film One Entertainment. And we have had the absolute honor of going through some of the pitches over the last few days, myself and my colleagues on the panel. And I can say that we at Film One are excited in collaboration with La Vida Studios to really narrow down and pencil down on 2 of the amazing pitches that we thought stood out. The first one is The Boy and King. I thought that pitch was fantastic, even though we didn't catch the entirety of it all, but it definitely had all the makings of what could be a big transformative storytelling project on the continent. And so we are going to be looking forward over the next few weeks to engage with the filmmaker to find out just how we can be supportive and how we can work with you to bring this film to life. The second one that ourselves and our partners at La Vida Studios are going to be looking forward to supporting you on is The Drive by Adora. I thought Adora's pitch was fantastic. It was a great way to end the pitching sessions. It is one that is authentic, the story is relatable, and it infuses a lot of cultural elements to it that I think just elevates the establishment of the characters that she has built. And so again, over the next few weeks, we're going to be working really closely with these two amazing filmmakers to see how we can be supportive, handhold them, and fund and project this film and give it the best possible chance to be a success on the continent. I want to thank the CANEX team as well, again, for bringing it all together. It was an amazing session. We look forward to working with them to make this a reality, and hopefully, this time next year, we're screening these projects at CANEX and projecting what is possible when we all come together. So thank you once again, and looking forward to what's possible.
Thank you very much. Again, apologies for the sound quality, but I'll just reiterate what he said. Essentially, Ms. Valencia Joshua from South Africa. The script for The Boy Hand King is going to be taken forward by the Film House Group, and also Ms. Adora Ajuzie Onyebuchi's The Drive will also be taken by Film House Group. So congratulations to you both, and all three of you actually. And as both our producers have said, we are all looking forward to screening those films here at the next CANEX on the sidelines of IATF 2025. The second activity that I would like to report back on is what we called CANEX Presents the Angels. Essentially, earlier this week, 12 entrepreneurs from 10 African countries got an opportunity to present their businesses to investors with a view to getting funding from them, as well as obviously mentorship and other kinds of support. Now, the Angels heard the pitches on Wednesday. They have spent the last few days reviewing the businesses, reviewing the decks, interrogating the financials. I know they've actually reached out to some of you for further detail in the course of, or in the time that has passed since we had the pitch session. Ladies and gentlemen, as an outcome, I am pleased to announce today that the Angels have committed to an aggregate of $350,000 US in investment to the three best candidates. I will announce the breakdown of that investment in terms of how it is going to be attributed. But first and foremost, Afreximbank also had a prize money, or some prize money, set aside for the best contestants. And to hand out those prizes, I would like to call on Mr. Stephen Tio Kauma, who is the Group Managing Director for Human Resources at Afreximbank, to announce the cash money prizes to the three winners. Please put your hands together for Tio.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Great pleasure to be standing in front of you here this afternoon to talk about this exciting initiative, the first of which there's going to be many more of those after this. So, So, as Odi has mentioned to you, we have several people that participated in this, and the angel investing panel, in its wisdom, went through a fairly comprehensive process of coming up with this list. But first and foremost, starting from number 3, I'm proud to announce that the angels decided that they would invest in Rad Black Kid. If we have a representative from Rad Black Kid, please come up. And for that, I would like to invite Mrs. Chinelo Orama to kindly come up on stage and hand over award to. Yes. Thank you so much. So this is Mr. Tulani Nganzimbi from RAD Black Kid. Another round of applause, please. Thank you very much, madam. So, thank you. So moving on to number 2, so the first runner-up, I'm proud to announce that the first runner-up is Kibonen Mfi, who runs a brand named Kibonen. So Kibonen runs a creative brand named Kibonen, and I would like to invite the Executive Vice President, Mrs. Kanayo Awani, to hand over the first runner-up prize to Kibonen Mfi. Another round of applause for Kibonen. And I would urge all of you, please look out for these names on Instagram, on other social media handles. You will find them. If you look for Rad Black Kid, you'll find them. If you look for Kibonen, you'll find them. Please find them and follow them, because there's going to be a big story on them. Now, last but not least, obviously, first, I'm proud to announce that the winner of the competition was none other than a brand named Vanu Vamwe. Vanu Vamwe is a Zimbabwean firm that makes handbags. They produce handbags out of recycled PET, so out of recycled bottles, and they use local artisans across the country who actually make these bags. And it's a very interesting technique that they use. So I would like to kindly request the Deputy Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture of the Republic of South Africa, Madame Peace Mabe, to please come and hand over this winning award to Vanu Vamwe. So congratulations to Vanu Vamwe. And as I said, please look out for these names on Instagram, on Facebook, so that you can learn more about them. Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes, I'm finished here. Please put your hands together for the winners one more time. let me just announce that. So, as I had previously indicated, over and above the prize money that Afreximbank has given to the winners, there was actual investment from the angels as an outcome of the exercise, 350,000 US dollars. So at this point, I will break down the allocation of those funds. The angels, which comprised Miss Muji Wusu, who is the founder of Woodhull Finance House, Mr. Ibrahim Sagnia, who is the founder of Silverback Holdings, and Ms. Efe Ukala, who is the founder of Impact Her, have actually come together and pooled a set of funds up to 100,000 US dollars, which will be distributed among the three winners. So each and every one of those three people who've just come up and collected the cash prizes will also get equity investment into their businesses. However, so yeah, we can start by celebrating that. However, one of the angels was extremely impressed by one of the pitches and has decided that she would like to make immediately, she would like to sign a term sheet with one of those who pitched, one of the entrepreneurs, which I think is a great story. So, ladies and gentlemen, to sign a 250,000 US dollar term sheet, can I please invite Ms. Moji Wusu, founder Woodhull Finance, and Kibonen Infi on stage. Congratulations to Kibonen. She gets a term sheet from Woodhull Capital, 250,000 US dollars. You saw it here firsthand at CANEX. Fashion entrepreneurs, getting the capital that they need to grow their businesses, to expand, to take Africa to the world. One more time for Kibonen and Ms. Mojusu. All right, so to close this out, I would just like to invite all, from script to screen, all the candidates who pitched, along with Ms. Choma Ode, who is the founder of AFRIF, to please come on stage for a group photo. I'd also like to invite Mr. Femi Oyeniran as well, who was one of the mentors for the Script to Screen program. Femi Oyeniran is an award-winning actor who starred in many British blockbusters, including Adulthood, and many others. So if you can please come up stage for a group photo. Can I also please invite our Executive Vice President, Ms. Kanayo Awani, who allows me to do all these programs, to come on stage and join the photo. Finally, can I invite all of those who pitched for the angel investment session as well to come on stage for a group photo? So all of the guys who were here who pitched, as well as the judges, Moji, Efe, Tio, who is already on stage. If you could come up for a group photo, please, once this is done. Yes. Okay, so let's. Thank you. Thank you very much.